There's none. You may take to flight, but eventually what happens? They must come back to land. Right? I believe I'm right. And then there's a difference between the habitat and the environment. While the habitat is that place where an organism lives its natural lives, the environment, however, is far more encompassing. The environment is seen as the sum total of your physical, the chemical, social, the sum total of everything that affects the organism. So the word habitat there, we are focusing on the right of everyone to have adequate shelter. Not just any type of shelter now, but shelter that is adequate, providing the basic needs, the basic necessities to sustain a fit living and lifestyle. I looked up on the internet and I found out that the United Nations first celebrated or came about with the idea of having a World Habitat Day in 1985. And ever since, every year a theme is chosen because it has to be all-inclusive. Everybody has to be involved. So since 1985, a theme is chosen by the United Nations for marking the World Habitat Day. And please, I'd like us to note today that, as I mentioned earlier, the theme for the 2023 World Habitat Day celebration is the resilient urban economies, cities as drivers of growth and recovery. I believe as we go on in the course of this program, we are going to learn a lot. Everybody is important in it. Every member of the built environment, we all have our respective roles to play, and nobody's role is junior. Nobody's role is superior. Nobody's role is inferior. Sometimes we are aware that sometimes we have this squabble within the built environment. The engineers will say we are the leaders. The town planners may say yes, we are the top. But well, from what I have seen, when your little toe is amputated, and then you will see that even the head will not be okay. When something is wrong with any part of a body, the entire body will not be okay. So in the built environment, every professional, everybody is what? We are all super important. There is no I in the word team. There's no I. All you have there is team. So we all, as members of the built environment, we should learn to see ourselves as members of the same team, so that we as much as possible minimize interdisciplinary squabbles and competitions. Once again, while we are still awaiting the arrival of our important dignitaries, I want to welcome you all to the World Habitat Day. It's a very beautiful environment. This environment is really cozy. In fact, as I enter here, it be like, say, I done jackpot already. It's like I was feeling like this abroad feeling. This place was put up by His Excellency Governor Gordini Norregase Obaseki. Shall we please give him a round of applause? I believe this administration, we have a whole lot of infrastructural development that are going to be long-lasting legacies. So please feel comfortable. The environment is already very cozy. Very soon, we are going to start officially. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, Your Royal Highnesses, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The Ministry of Fiscal Planning, Housing, Urban and Regional Development is an integral part of the Obaseki-led administration vision to ensure that new cities are opened. And today, we're gathered to espouse on resilient urban economic cities as drivers of growth and recovery. The present Benin city we are all used to was a brainchild of the previous government. And so His Excellency Godwin Obaseki understands that the next 30 years, many of us would have retired. In the next 30 years, the children that are currently in school will be in charge of state and government. And so what are the plans? What are the visions? And the best way to get people attracted to a virgin land is to bring government presence and infrastructure. And that is exactly what the new town, the Coral City, hopes to achieve. And so we are all part of this very historic moment, and I'd like to thank you for your presence. His Excellency, Mr. Governor, will join us shortly, and when he does, we will officially begin. But permit me at this point to acknowledge and welcome the Honorable Commissioner that is making us proud, Honorable Isoke Omo. Please make welcome. Her counterpart, the Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Osilama Okofo. Honorable, please make welcome. Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Humanitarian Affairs, Zubairu Dada Abubakar. Please make welcome. Honorable Commissioner for Water Resources, Asi Suraja Jubri. Please make welcome. Honorable Commissioner for Environment and Sustainability, Architect Joshua Omokodion. Special Advisor to Mr. Governor on Strategy, Policy, Projects, and Performance Management, Honorable Sarah Esang-Bedo Ajose Adiogo. We thank permanent secretaries and heads of government, ministry, departments, and agencies here present. In a special way, we acknowledge Chairman, State Universal Basic Education Board, Mrs. Ozabize Eyitayo Salami. Please make welcome. The Acting Managing Director of Flood Erosion Watershed Management Agency, Mrs. Osasu Okenini, is also with us. Please acknowledge. The Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, Estate Surveyor and Valuer Oduma Melody. Please make welcome. The Managing Director, Edo State Investment Promotion Office, SIPO, Mr. Kelvin Waibi, is also in the house. And of course, Engineer Jegba, State Chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, is also in the building. Please warmly make welcome. We'll get to meet you as we get along, but the interim is important for us to understand that those for which this project is targeted are children who currently are in various secondary schools, and in the next 30 years, they will be in charge of many of what we are doing now. Can we please applaud our children from the various secondary schools in Edo? Can you all stand and take a bow? Can that applause be more resounding for them? And of course, we congratulate all teachers. Today is World Teachers' Day. If you can read and write, clap for your teacher. If you cannot read or write, please get a teacher. How they do such magic, only God knows. But our teachers, you're doing well. We can't thank you enough. The pay can be commensurate to the work and impact you do. Outside teaching, a lot of our teachers are counselors, a lot of our teachers are parents, a lot of our teachers are prayer warriors, a lot of our teachers are also security experts. They are investigative officers, and they do a lot more for our children. Thank you for being here. Former Honorable Executive Chairman, Ikbobaoha Local Government Area. Ladies and gentlemen, the Odobaiwu of Benin Kingdom, Chief Dr. Douglas Efosa Uso has just joined us. A very senior palace chief from the palace of His Royal Majesty Omonoba Nedo Ukwakolokboloba Ewy the second Nogidiga Oba Tokbe Odobaiwu Tokbe. Thank you for being here. And so we'll expect the DJ to give us a slight wonderful music as we get set to around the presence of Mr. Governor. The Patriot is my name. Thank you. Very distinguished guests, in the course of today's event, we're going to have a very erudite speaker. The keynote address will be given by no other than Dr. Hope Yahweh. He's a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, and he also retired from the Auchi Polytechnic only last month. Can we please warmly put our hands together to make him welcome? He's now a senior citizen, confirmed. We'd like to acknowledge the Right Honorable Henry Ohuarabo, immediate past majority leader of the Edo State House of Assembly. Please make welcome to a great parliamentarian. We appreciate your presence. Permanent Secretary, Government House and Protocol, Mrs. Julie Olatunji, please make welcome. Thank you for being here. The music will continue. Representatives from the Ministry of Health would like to warmly make welcome Ms. Odion Judith Uzamere. Please warmly appreciate their presence. Thank you for coming. Mr. Dennis Egwahide is also on that delegation. We appreciate your presence. Thank you for being here. We appreciate in a special way staff from the Ministry of Fiscal Planning, Housing, Urban, and Regional Development. Thank you for making all of this happen. And we appreciate all the efforts towards actualization of the Coral City. as we celebrate the World Habitant Day. Your habitant is where you live. And so for you to live healthy, your habitant must also be healthy. Your habitant must experience macroeconomic development, influx of people, and business projections. And so the new city is indeed a must for all of us. And so we hope that very shortly it will come on stream. And for all those within that ambience, they are already very excited about the Obaseki-led administration because the road networks have connected to the old city. It's also connected to the express. And so once there's a new city, what happens to the old one? Decongestion. So not everybody will have space to build within the existing city. So we move over to the new city and the coral city, depicting what we are known for in Edo. A culture is our heritage. A culture is our identity. And coral, bronze, are all of what makes us very unique. And so we'll expect every one of us at the point of interaction to bring out from our thinking cap, outside the box, to truly make it a wonderful section, because together we can achieve greater successes than individuals. So once again, we appreciate your presence. DJ. So, as soon as he gets close to the entrance of the door, we shall do well to rise to welcome the man who currently is taking Edo to a greater level than he met it. And so our dear governor have just joined us, is already within the ambience. And you can see the power of technology. You can see the power of digital concepts. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your presence. Shall we please rise as we make welcome His Excellency, our dear governor. Let the music play on from the DJ as we warmly acknowledge the presence of the man that is taking Edo to the next level, making Edo great again, finishing well, finishing strong. His Excellency Godwin Nogegase Obasaki. Can the applause be resounding? Can it get better? Bring in a new coral city, alive in our time and in our season. Your Excellency, congratulations again for these wonderful feats. And as soon as His Excellency gets to his seat, the national anthem of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is now. DJ. The Edo anthem.
The ancient city is calling. Oh, arise, sons and daughters of marching. Stand up high to the pride of the land. Stand up to the pride of the land. The founding fathers of labor. And our time to serve is now. The glory of the new Edo nation will forever be our pride. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream.
Can you finish the sentence? The land people dream to be. Please warmly resume your seats. The new coral city is certainly a land as part of the Edo's project. May I at this point warmly welcome the man that God is using in our time to ensure rapid development for our people. The Wake and See New City Governor, His Excellency Godwin Nogegase Obasaki. Can you please make welcome? The Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Isoke Omo. Her counterparts, Honorable Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Osilama Okofo. Please make welcome. Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Humanitarian Affairs, Zubairu Dada Abubakar. Honorable Commissioner for Water Resources, Edo State, Assis Raja Jubri. Please make welcome. Honorable Commissioner for Environment and Sustainability, Architect Joshua Omokodia. Special Advisor to His Excellency Mr. Governor on Strategy, Policy, Project and Performance Management, Sarah Esangbedo Adjose Adiogo. the Odobawo of Benin Kingdom, Chief Dr. Douglas Efosa Uso, was a former executive chairman, Ikbobaoka Local Government Council. Please make welcome. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Physical Planning, Housing, Urban and Regional Development, Engineer Osikena Ojo. His predecessor in office, former Permanent Secretary of that same ministry, now Consultant Chris Abode. We welcome you. Our guest speaker for today, Dr. Hope Yahweh, we acknowledge your presence. The State Chairman, Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer E. Ojegba, we acknowledge your presence. All critical stakeholders, very distinguished guests, top government functionaries, it is my singular honor at this point to invite for the opening remarks the Honorable Commissioner Isoke Omo for the Ministry of Physical Planning, Housing, Urban and Regional Development. Can we put our hands together for this wonderful woman that is making it all great in line with the vision of her principal? Congratulations, ma'am.
Your Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, my boss, Governor Noregase Obaseki, my colleagues here, commissioners here present, the permanent secretaries, members of the Built Environment, Chief Uso from the Palace, Domosa. Please, I would like to stand on the existing protocol so I don't offend anyone. Thank you very much for coming. Good morning. Welcome to the symposium for the World Habitat Day 2023. World Habitat Day actually is the first Monday of October every year. And Urban October is celebrated. The whole month is used to take a time to pause and look at our environment, our habitat. How are we dealing with it? Are we aware what our responsibilities? And this year, it talks about, the theme is resilient urban economies, cities as drivers of growth and recovery. And this is our reality of today. So we're here to talk about it, engage, and in doing that, we look at our master plan. So that's why we're really here, to talk to ourselves, because this will determine how our future will be. Because everything we do affects our habitat one way or the other. So I welcome you. I don't have a lot to say now. I think there's another time for that. My boss is here. I'll just hand over the microphone. Thank you all for coming. Be attentive. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Isoke Omo. Very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. His Excellency, our dear Governor, believes in the next generation. And that is why the 30 years master plan for Edo is already available. And the major beneficiaries of that are children. They are here to see the vision of making Edo great again. Can I request, as we warmly make welcome, children from various secondary schools in Edo State. Please, can you take a bow? Your governor is here and your interest is paramount to him. Can we warmly welcome the major beneficiaries? In the next 30 years, a lot of us may have retired. But I'm sure Mr. Governor will sit wherever he is in any part of the world to say, I did well. And we are indeed proud of your antecedent. It is on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to please rise to make welcome. As he gives the welcome address, His Excellency, the man of the moment, Godwin Nogega Setwa Obaseki. Can you make some noise? Can you appreciate the resilient in a man who believes in the next generation?
Thank you.
God bless you, sir.
Please be seated. The Honorable Commissioner for Physical Planning, Housing, Urban and Regional Development, who is our host here today, Honorable Isoke Omo, and other Honorable Commissioners who are here with her, permanent secretaries, heads of ministries, departments, and agencies. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Yahweh, my very own Chief Douglas Uso from the palace, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I want to join the Honorable Commissioner to welcome all of you here today to be part of what I will call an emotional subject, which is our environment, our habitat, which has become very, very topical globally in the world as we speak. Because one of the major challenges facing mankind today is our environment. We're having to deal with all sorts of consequences as a result of the distortion of our environments. So as we mark World Habitat Month, which is October, I want to join my support with the Ministry of Physical Planning, our host ministry, as they celebrate World Habitat Day with the topic Resilient Urban Economies, Cities as Drivers for Economic Growth and Recovery. We could not have chosen a much more apt theme for this year's celebration. Because since we came into office in 2016, one major nagging issue that we have had to deal with as a government is the structure of Edo State. That is the physical structure where we have had to witness massive rural migrations to major cities. Major cities that were not designed or have not been planned to accommodate these large populations that are now settling in them. We can all remember the unfortunate situation we had up to 2016, 2017, which emanated from high rates of migration, irregular migration, both to the cities and then abroad, and also human trafficking. All of these phenomena put pressure on our cities in the state. So today's subject aligns very closely with our challenge that we've had to deal with since we came into office. And how have we gone about this, dealing with this challenge? Because very early on, we recognized this is a problem. With a state growing so rapidly, with the kind of demographics, over 70% under the age of 30, we had to pause to reflect on how this young generation is going to live into the future. Felt that we could not claim that we administered Edo without creating a plan for the future for Edo State. That is why we embarked on the design of this Edo State Regional and Benin City Urban Master Plan. Before we embarked on this project, as far back as 2017, one of the very first contracts I signed was to procure the services of specialists to fly over our state. And today, I'm very glad that we have very accurate digital maps of what our state looks like, at least aerially. This is in addition to satellite maps which we have acquired. It's on the basis of this data and this information that we've hired experts who have been working with us in the last 2 years to produce the Edo State Regional and Benin City Urban Master Plans, which we hope will last for 30 years. What is interesting is that what we're doing today is not new to us as a people. From history, Edo people have always planned their habitats. It's well documented, even from Portuguese explorers who came here hundreds of years ago. Unfortunately, by the time we got into office, there was no plan. All the master plans that were developed in the 60s and 70s had expired. And so, no wonder the cities, our cities and state were just sprawling into huge slums. So we believe that we can take advantage of the urbanization that we're witnessing today to build very resilient urban environments and cities for our people. Like I said, Benin City alone inhabits about 50% of the population of Edo State. And it's just frightening sometimes when you are flying into the city and see how rapidly that the Benin City is expanding. From Ekiadolo, which used to be a village a few years ago, right through to past Ogede on Saple Road. In fact, I was going towards a Kenwa road to inspect a project in Ajoki a couple of weeks ago. And the city is sprawled beyond the army barracks out there. I mean, growing up, this was forest area. So it tells you how large this city has grown. And I believe, when talking with the planners, urban Benin today is more than 400 square kilometers, which is not a small area. And it's not bad. It's just that we must take advantage and plan for it, because with 2.5 million people residing in this Benin metropolis, imagine the kind of talent that have been born into this environment and nurtured. This particular arena, has been home to great performances I never believed existed in this part of our world. So there's nothing bad in itself about urbanization. However, our responsibility as government is to make sure that we make these urban environments resilient. And resilient means that they will be sustainable, they are strong, and they can continue to renew themselves and provide succor, hope, and growth to those who reside in. We also, as a government, are very keen on cleaning and greening our urban areas. We are blessed with our location. We are bang in the rainforests. Look at what has happened this year. We've had almost 8 months of rainfall, which means that life and greenery can be sustained. But have we been taking advantage of the amount of rainfall we have? If anything, we've been despoiling our environment, cutting down trees, deforesting our land, and our soil being put to tests can, in most cases, not hold the amount of rainfall because we have cut down so many of our natural endowments, our plants and trees. So one area that we're very, very keen on is to make sure that we clean our cities. We clean Benin City, and we make it green. Because those of you professionals who are here, when you look at Benin City and Benin area from Google Map, it will seem as if it's like it's any city in the arid north, in Sahara Desert. It's brown. There's nothing green. when you look at it. Meanwhile, God created this place to be green. So it's our goal as a government to make sure that as much as possible we restore our urban city, Benin, to its natural state of being in the rainforest. As we design our master plan, we're going to be very, very resolute. And in some cases, undertake some rather, some actions which may not be too popular, but we need to for the sake of the next generation. We're going to make sure that this master plan, which we are almost concluding, we are in the third phase, and hopefully by the first quarter next year, it will come alive, is backed by law. We will legislate the master plan so that when people do things that are contrary to the master plan, it can be justiciable. That means they can be taken to court and charged. I'm glad our children are here from our secondary schools, because the master plans will now be compulsory part of their learning process. It will be displayed and showed to them and taught them in schools so that they have an idea of what their environment, what their cities, which they will be growing up in, should look like, so that they also can challenge governments and authorities to make sure that the cities, the plans are maintained. I'm sure you heard the news last week when a group of young people have taken governments in Europe to court, challenging them and trying to get action on climate change issues. Having said this, let me acknowledge the role of all you professionals from the built environment space here, town planners, architects, policymakers, communities, who have been working tirelessly to make sure that they enhance the quality of our urban lives by making sure that we emphasize access, equitable access to basic services such as housing, education, healthcare, and transportation for all urban dwellers. As we celebrate, let us not forget the challenges that urbanization can pose, including overcrowding, which Benin City is facing seriously. Another challenge has been environmental pollution and degradation. We have had to set up a separate forestry commission to just deal exclusively with the issue of forestry. And we have embarked on a massive regeneration of our forests. And one of the policies we have put in place is to encourage people, particularly from the private sector, to now own forest land. We'll give them land to plant trees which will not be harvested for up to 30 or 40 years. I invite you to participate actively in this Urban October 2023 by engaging in discussions, debates, initiatives, and actions that will contribute to the betterment of our cities. Nobody, if you look around, I can't see any obvious foreigner here. It's us. Nobody is going to do it for us. If we don't do it ourselves, our cities would not look like those that we travel to. And they will not come to see our cities, just as we go to see their cities. So I think out of a sense of patriotism, out of a sense of self, it is important that we contribute to making our world, our habitats, our cities, one or those which people can come and also experience, just like we strive to go to other places to experience what their cities look like. Finally, I am very, very optimistic that with the quality of professionals I have worked with, but the professionals in the built environment space, anything we decide to achieve can be achieved. Anything we decide to do as a people, we can achieve whatever we have set our minds to with our societies. I've seen how this, sections of this city have expanded, have been built up so fast and so, in some cases, with a lot of high quality in such a short period of time. If only we just sat back and rather than just build our own compounds, we think about building our state. We think about building Benin City to look like that beautiful piece of architecture that you have built for yourself. Once we begin to think that way, we will certainly evolve a very strong and resilient urban environments for us and for our children. Thank you very much.
Can that applause be sustained for His Excellency for those very wonderful words on marble? It is my singular honor, Your Excellency's very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to invite our guest speaker, Dr. Hope Yahweh, to please step forward for his citation. Dr. Hope Yahweh was born on the 23rd day of September in 1958 in Benin City, Nigeria. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Paul Yahweh, were both educationists who toiled in the Old Western and Midwestern region, who were later metamorphosed into Midwest and Bendel states. A situation that saw the young Hope traverse the length and breadth of these locations for his early education, which later culminated in the determination and commitment to studying town planning with outstanding results in Turkey, Nigeria, and South Africa. By November 1984, he took up appointments with the Auchi Polytechnic, a situation that saw him consistently climb the ladder of success in these wonderful citadel, and among which was teaching of staff and student, mentoring of students, and accreditation of the ND, HND, and PD programs. He's a full member of the NITP, the National Institute of Town Planners, and registered town planner in 1999. Your Excellency is a very distinguished guest, a very robust CV, but for word of time, we'll speak to a few areas of his very wonderful CV. It is worthy to note that in 2008, he was appointed a member Presidential Committee on Harmonization for Polytechnics and Colleges of Technology to award Bachelor in Technology in Town Planning. His passionate desire to improve himself and his immediate environment took him to the University of Witwatersrand, Johannesburg in South Africa, to study and specialize in the aspect of sustainable development using solid waste management as a resource. On the aspect of exploring waste management for various lenses, he has several journals, articles, and paper presentation at conferences within and outside the shores of this country. In recognition of his zeal and commitment to this field, he was invited as a research student scholar to participate in 2 high-profile assignments, a situation that is unprecedented. First, as one of the academic resource persons involved in a consultative workshop on strategic plans of the Department of Environment Affairs in the 3rd South African National Waste Management Strategy in 2018. Second, he was involved in planning and organization of several cities in South Africa, converting waste to wealth Municipality Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, prior to this time, in 2006, a supportive and vibrant posture saw him through in the participation in the planning and implementation of the only urban summit organized by the National Institute of Town Planners under the chairmanship of TPL Bimbo Oni Bokun. His tenure as chairman of the Edo State chapter of the National Institute of Town Planners between 2020 and 2022 effected the relocation of the secretariat from individual homes and offices to rent an outfit, and later started the foundation of their secretariat, among other notable achievements. A move that is unprecedented in the 25 years of the existence of that chapter. Only last month, he meritoriously retired from the services of the Federal Polytechnic Auchi. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our guest speaker, Dr. Hope Iyawe.
Your Excellency, in order not to brook established protocol, we'll just say Your Excellency, standing on the existing protocol. We'll stop at that, such that we'll continue with the business of the day. What we have this afternoon, because I was about to say money, I have to correct myself quickly. Can I have my slides? Have it? Urban resilient, or resilient urban economics, a driver of growth and recovery for Benin City, Nigeria. What was given to me has that we have to talk about resilient urban economics, cities as drivers of growth and recovery on this occasion of World Habitat Day. I have to ruminate on this, and if there are other things I may not have talked about, blame me to some extent, but not completely. This work we'll have to put together from Saturday night till last night. Can I have the first slide, please? Now, what we have is going to take this format. The introduction, definition of terms, theoretical fees for literature appraiser, present situation in Nigeria, empirical example, flooding in Benin City. Conclusion, recommendations, and questions. Then the first one, introduction. I like to begin with this quote. Designing a city is beautiful. Making it sustainable is great. But making it all that and resilient is getting closer to perfection in urban planning. This was a quotation by Klaus, Secretary General, Habitat 3, Under Secretary General and Executive Director of UN Habitat. We concentrate on cities because we can see that the city is a place, I would say, is an amalgam where we find everyone, irrespective of profession, irrespective of income and what have you. The city is highly concentrated area of population, industry and wealth, an important area for people to live, to work, and to play. As we are here, I'm sure at the end of this, we will be able to tell ourselves certain things that if not for this World Habitat Day or World Habitat Month, as the commissioner would like to call it, we may not have had this kind of collection of persons. While we continue, the city occupies 2% of Earth, the Earth land, but consumes 75% of its resources. Imagine 2% having to consume 75. Then by 2050, 80% of the world will be urban, and 90% of urban centers lie in coastal, susceptible, and vulnerable to shocks. By that simple token, I'm saying sea level rise, powerful storms, etc. We are aware of cities that have been submerged either by tsunami or Hurricane Fifi. What is happening is that these cities, they've invested and people have lost their lives as a result of what has happened. Now, resilient urban economics and the concomitant attention in the literature due to the synchronized and increasing frequent cyclical fluctuation and global economy. We'll soon get to what the world bodies are telling us. Resilient urban economies may help explain the regional economic response, adjustments, and changes after an external shock and internal stress. In this lecture, we're going to have the shocks that are external, like COVID-19 is external. What we have when our friends blocked the Sapele Road as a result of what I will call either bad road now or submergence as a result of flooding, that one is stress, is internal. The one that is external, you may not have control. The one that is internal, you have control. That one is stress. Now, given the continuous expansion in size and ongoing increase in complexity of cities, a proportionate increase in the vulnerability of cities to extreme events and disasters can, I've just mentioned COVID-19. COVID-19 occurred in urban settlements, affecting more than 1,500 cities around the world. Now we are to continue with our introduction. Now, given this importance, world bodies have been concerned through the introduction of program symposium workshop. Notable in this regard is the Sendai framework of March 2015 on disaster risk reduction. The second on this is the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development of September 2015. The third is the Paris Agreement on Climate Change of December 2015. Cities all over. That is what Paris Agreement is talking about. Agric, industry, energy. The fourth, and not necessarily the last on this because there are still more, New Urban Agenda of October 2016 with 3 key principles. The first one is leave no one behind. This idea of leave no one behind, that is why you have UN Habitat. Every year we have to make the first Monday of every month and call it Habitat Day. Now, the second is ensure sustainable and inclusive economy, urban economics. The idea of sustainability is the fact that you have to regenerate. This one you find today, can it replicate? Is it once and for all? Certainly, it's never once and for all. It's something that must sustain. I'm very happy that my governor is an investment banker. When I'm talking about sustainability, he knows what I'm talking about. And if it has to be sustainable, then we have to look at their other parameters. Now, prominent concerns of late have been traffic congestion. I came from Auchi yesterday, and I experienced gridlock. The journey, when I started my journey to Auchi in 1984, is an hour 15 minutes. But yesterday I came to town after 4.5 hours. Can we say there is improvement or there is development? It's left for you to answer. Now, having had on traffic congestion, climate change, as at yesterday, we knew what happened in some localities. Is it the one that happened in 2012, where natural disasters, terrorism, what we have where we now see that some persons are kidnapped and others, is tending towards terrorism, whether you like it or not. It affects the psyche, it affects your psychological makeup. There are people that are somehow put on the strain. They are strained as a result of what has happened. And for that reason, there is what we call terrorism, sustainable energy. What we have today, is it actually sustainable if we talk about electricity? Thank God that we equally have a forward-looking governor that has they normally call it Osiomo Power Plant. Is it name really Osiomo or Orionwo? I've asked my people, and they told me that I should call it Orionwo. And that the Europeans, when they came, they corrupted it to be Osiomo instead of Orionwo. That's by the way. Now, we have residential restructuring. I'm happy when I heard about the Kora city that is about to take place. That, in a way, is residential restructuring, whether we like it or not. But at different fora, we have on our own told ourselves that the way we are going, that Benin City is expanding everywhere, is not sustainable. If we take example from Singapore, that island nation, Lee Kuan Yew knew that that country has no land. And what they did was to see that they maximize the use of what they have. Do we, because we have land everywhere, they will continually expand in leaps and bounds? There must be a policy. And one of such policies may well be that we have a situation where these other plots we have for now, and they are low rise, there are areas we can make 4, 5, 6-story buildings on a plot. And by so doing, the infrastructure where we have in terms of roads is not going to be as bad in terms of the fact that you are not going to traverse that much before you get to your other friend. If a place can take what I will call 400 persons, and the size of land is 20 square meters, let's assume, and then I have a 5-story building, and it will occupy just 5 square meters, what happens? I have saved 15. We should start looking and think in terms of that perspective. What we are doing is not sustainable, and I beg to say, and that is the truth. Now, relocation and closure of firms, population growth, leadership change, and infrastructure failures. From before going, our focus is how can our cities position their economies to benefit residents in a sustainable manner. We will come to that one shortly. Now, let me not bore you with definition of terms. So, the governor has taken his leave. Can we continue? Like I said, I will not bore you with what I'll call definition of terms, because along the line, you're still going to have all that. And at the end of the day, what we have is theoretical fees of literature appraiser. That is the next we are. The topic is largely Thank you. The topic is largely addressed, and it is ingrained in resilience and signal theories. When we talk about signal theory, what we are looking at is the fact that it provides, when stress viewed through the lens of an urban system, okay, ability to transmit information and resources. Indeed, when information and resources are seen as signals transmitted through time and space. By so doing, what we are saying is that whatever you see in the urban setting, you see it today, you should be able to think ahead, because the people they're supposed to serve today, take for example the transportation system. Luckily, I'm sure we have Edo City Transport. Those buses that were purchased from South Korea, maximum maybe take about 70. And if those buses, assuming you have 40 on your fleet for now, by next year, I should expect you should increase either to 60 or to 70. Why I'm saying this? Because the population is always on the increase. If it now reduces, then there's going to be a problem. And that tells you the signal you are going to get, because what you have done is not looking forward. You have not seen the fact that our population ordinarily is going to increase as a result of natural increase and as a result of migration from the hinterland to the center. Now, through discrete metabolic rhythms, then the patterns and capacity of signaling between critical components within complex urban system becomes a central task for all successful resilience to shocks and long-term pressures of decline. I just cited an example of transportation, and the same thing you might have for housing. And there are other components of the city that you might experience similar, what I would call decline. Now, continue our theoretical fields for literature appraisal. To my right, we have characteristics of resilient urban systems. Those things you have, like dependency on local ecosystem, flexibility, and all that, what it's telling us is that these are systems. And you must, in the what we call resilient urban systems, these things, you must have them. They are components. Then the one on the left-hand side, from resilient and regenerative materials to a resiliency. On there where you have micro scale, you have something directly underneath telling us that selection of materials and construction elements. Down to this other end where you have macro scale, you have buildings, infrastructure to city and building environment. I took those two examples to illustrate the fact that is micro goes to tell us that it is what we can figure out, what we can pinpoint, and what we can count is numerable. Is not a gamut of what I would call subsectors. Now, if you take the one like buildings, infrastructure, and other one, if you say buildings, they are low rise, they are high rise, and all that. But if it's on micro, you are going to talk about cement, you are going to talk about rod and wood and all that. That's what we are looking at when we talk about from resilient and regenerative materials to resiliency. Next slide. Now, still on theoretical fields for literature appraisal. This one arrested my attention as I was going and preparing this, what I will call address. Figure 3 talks about components, dimensions, events, and elements for evaluating, designing, creating. You see, one has to put in parentheses, creating and achieving built environment and city resilience. What are we talking about here? There are three main aspects: social, spatial, and environmental. And for social, we have increasing and improving social network, leadership support, and systems. Now, our gathering this afternoon, if you like it or not, is social. We have come together. And what we are looking at is increasing and improving social network. There are some friends I have not seen for quite a while. We interacted here today. That one, we cannot rule it out when we are talking about this. Now, the spatial, if you say spatial, this, what we have here, this is space. And looking at spatial, we are analyzing vulnerability and resiliency from spatial perspective. How comfortable are you in this space? The seating arrangement, the traffic and circulation. I'm looking at it from that perspective when I talk about spatial. So I try to bring it to our knowledge or to our subconscious so that we will be able to understand better what we are talking about. Now, the last but not the least is environmental component. Developing an integrative environmental monitoring and predicting capability. Now, not too long ago, I heard when the governor talked about we see Benin City from the sky. And even with the maps that I'm sure is in his possession and in the Ministry of Housing, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Regional Development, it's no longer that green. So in terms of spatial, what we expect to see in some areas, we are not seeing them. So there is a problem. There's a problem. And for that reason, we should be accepting increasing risk. That's what it entails. Now, the next thing we have, can we have the next slide, please? Now, present Nigerian situation. The present situation in Nigeria, let's look at it from this perspective. Nigerian Infrastructure Advisory Facility, okay, NIF, in 2016 for the Nigerian Resilience City Network. When my friend was reading my resume, he talked about South Africa network in terms of waste management strategy. We have South African City Network. It then means that the cities will have what we call a template for which they develop. A template for which you can know and see that you can measure and compare in such a way that what this city is lacking, they can learn from the other city. I'm sure the Nigerian Infrastructure Advisory Facility has in mind to do such a thing. That is why we now have Nigeria Resilience City Network. Have found the following challenges preventing Nigerian cities from achieving resilience. The first on that list is problem of rapid urbanization, changing demographics, and lack of reporting tools for risk, uncertainties, and development indices. That is with us. We cannot run from that. The governor, while making his speech, he talks about changing demographics. The changing demographics, the one we have, that we have so many children, I will say my age group, now my age bracket, if we look at it in the state, I will say between 60 and 70 years, that age bracket, we may not be as much as those that are 50 to 60. And those that are far younger, like my children over here, they are much more in number. If we now say from 0 to 14, they are more in number compared to 15 to 30 or 15 to 29. So those demographics certainly will alter, will change. The population of Nigeria, if we say as at now is 200 million plus. If I tell you, actually, we do not know the size of our population, and that is the truth, because we play politics. That's the honest truth. We don't know our population. But it's estimated to be 200 million plus. But by 2050, considering the natural growth rate we have, if we say natural growth rate, and that means we are removing what we have for death rate and birth rate, and not to talk of migration, whether they are coming, Ghanaians do not come to Nigeria anymore, we will go to Ghana. Now, if we now consider all that kind of migratory rate, then what do we have? Our population will certainly go for a higher rate. So in that case, what we find is that the second aspect, lack of governance structure for cities. Cities in Nigeria are the responsibility of state government who have no dedicated city-specific management. That is what we have in Edo State. No dedicated city management. Do we have a city manager like what I will call the mayor of Benin City? Or do we have Benin City Council? Benin City Council that will now comprise, that will take care of Benin. And these persons will now consider the work and the environment as their own because they live there, they dwell there. If that one is too large, do we have in various quarters? And we'll say the Odionwere of the quarter. And that Odionwere of the quarter has subordinates that are in charge of some responsibilities. And they own the place. If at all there is going to be a problem, they are the first, what I'll call respondents, and the people that will attend to you. If we have in some localities, if we're able to have that, that is the first protocol. That is where we should start. Unfortunately, we don't have. And people do not see themselves as only a particular place compared to others. There was a symposium I participated, and we were talking about what I'll call waste management. And I told them, I said, look, if you check Awo Lane, by that school, Imaguero, the fence was a place they dump refuse. And it became notorious. Then what happened? The locals decided to tie white and red cloths that if you venture, whatever you see, you will get. After they have cleared the place. And the people no longer visited there. They don't throw refuse there anymore. If I'm not mistaken, that white and red something is still there. Those ribbons, they are still there. And they don't regard it as refuse dump anymore. What are we talking about? If you will say the place is yours and you own it, then you must protect it. You must protect it. Just like you do to your house, your property. And you said an area, a neighborhood is yours. You are going to protect that neighborhood. I'm not talking about what we call these other youth that they said development, whatever, that was so notorious at a time until Omonoba Huakbolokboro, LY the second, now have to banish them. They call them CDAs, isn't it? The CDAs were making money for themselves. But were they actually for the development of that community? If they were actually development of the communities, why would there be upheaval whenever there is going to be change of party? If you come to serve, you are going to serve with your mind. If you are going there to make money, then you fight tooth and nail to be there. That's like this. Now, lack of sustainability, I try to jump so that some persons can equally have one or two things to tell us. the short time scales of state and local government administrations is no longer a secret. Local government administration will say is for 3 years. There are times we may not have them up to 3 years before they are dissolved. And that is not just all. The local government is the creation of the constitution, but at the same time is at the whims and caprices of the governor of the state for them to function properly. That is the truth. But if local government were supposed to do their work, we are starting from somewhere. We are going to end somewhere. The local area will develop better than it is now. And that is the more reason there is this kind of disconnect between the locals and even they are the local government council. And there is a paper I equally had participated to, which told us that what happens is that the chief or the village head of a community who want to give a title or whatever chieftaincy title to an illustrious son that has done very well. And that illustrious son, if he happens to have done well in the community, all well and good. But if that illustrious son has been able to steal from the federal and state government, he is going to be honored for stealing to develop his locality. That's the reality of the situation. Now, the NRC was established to work, and all that you're going to find. I'm sure at the end of the day, you get all these things to do, because I'll be reliably informed I have a very short time. And that time even permits me to look at all that we have. Can we go to Benin City, please? Next. Thank you very much. Now, this to us is what I will call those pictures is what we experience. This is Sapele Road after the bypass. And this one is a common feature of heavy downpour of our major cities in Nigeria, especially at the south. That is what we find. So now when we look at Benin City, can we go to the next slide, please? Next. Now, before that picture, there is something about Benin City I like us. Yes, thank you very much. We'll see that causes of flooding in Benin City, heavy rainfall and blockage of drainages were perceived as major causes of flooding, overpopulation. All this I'm sure you know very well. Improper waste disposal, rapid economic growth in conjunction with unplanned expansion, which the governor equally alluded to. Unplanned expansion. We have them like what we call urban sprawl. They are everywhere. After those images, please, quickly. Edo State, in looking at what we have at the moment, those problems we have, Edo State has come up with what I will call Creative Hub, Industry, Digital, Citizen Startup, and Incubation. A very good one. We cannot run away from that. We expect our people to participate in all these ones. Now, key components of the 20-year development plan centers on education, technology, and entertainment. I overheard the governor, not just at this occasion, but in the media, talks about this. Now, Nigeria Erosion and Watershed Management Project, new map. Yeah? What happened? As at 2022, Edo emerged as World Bank best performing state with several people-centric projects at award ceremony in Abuja, beating 22 other states to clinch the national award. That's a very good one. But we should not rest on our oars. We will have to continue so that the mark will continue in that same posture. Now, other areas where states came up tops, disbursement, engineering, civil wars, bioengineering, and best in counterpart funding. Now, this is my conclusion. Individuals who are exposed to moderately stressful experiences and who have the initial resources necessary to overcome those stressors may develop a resilience to the deleterious effect of later stress. What is that telling us? You have what I will call moderate, you have the wherewithal to be able to withstand moderate stress. If you are able to survive, you are going to do more even when such stress or similar one comes in no distant time. Well, there will not be time for this one because building resilience requires all that stuff. These are recommendations. So at this juncture, let's have the next slide. Thank you very much. I want to obey what you gave to me.
I'm sure you'll agree with me. The last 37 minutes were wonderful. We had projected 30 minutes, and when we observed that it was really very interesting, we had to increase with additional 7 minutes. Thank you very much, Dr. Yahweh. Can we please applaud him again? Can we please do that? I will now invite the Honorable Commissioner to please come and give the slides to her remarks. Because Mr. Governor was here, we didn't want to keep too much time because it needs to be at the World Teachers Day. Honorable Isaka Omo, please. The master plan. That is her baby project. Can we put our hands together for her, please? The slides for her presentation.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank you for being here and being with us. One of the most difficult things we really have is, first of all, doing the plan, then adhering to the plan, actually implementing. I was talking to the children earlier. I said a lot of people do New Year resolutions. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to stop talking. I'm using myself as a typical example. And sometimes we even write them down. But most times we never go back. How many people go back to their new resolutions? Don't lie. How many people, if you do, raise up your hand. There's a gift for you. If you really do. Please clap for Madam. And clap for Oga. In this congregation of nearly 200 people, 2 people. So it says a lot about our lives and planning. So many things decisions we take, we don't plan them. So we go into them and we do it as the days go by. And when we do that to our physical environment, it leads us to slums, pollution, unplanned. And then all of that affects our infrastructure. And then it affects our well-being. Because everything we do to the environment gets to us one way or the other. It might not be immediately, but eventually it will catch up with us. So these master plans are the things that, because a lot of people are asking, why is government doing it? What is the use? Because if you say, oh, this kind of money has been spent for us to get, why are we doing it? Can't they put the money on road? But if we don't plan where the road will go, how are we going to do it? Will the road lead to nowhere? A road that leads to nowhere is not beneficial to anybody. So we must have to plan. But not only plan, we must have to stick to the plan. When Mr. Governor talked, he talked about implementation. That Benin City had always been a planned city. And I talked to people, I said, maybe you've not taken time. I didn't grow up in Benin. So I came to Benin as work. I used to come here to visit, but I came here as work and I started looking at Benin, especially when I became Commissioner for Fiscal Planning. I didn't take too much notice before in my other work. But as I became a commissioner, I started to look at the city with a different eye. And I noticed that, look, this city is really planned, though. It is really planned. If you take the ring road that was the King Square, it wasn't round from the day one. It was actually a square. If you take it and you follow all the roads that come out of it, the markets are in the same location. On each street, on each road. The churches are in the same location. I have tested, I have checked. And they are done like, you just find out that, okay, after a few you will see it. So I now learn to look for them. Some of them have been removed and new things have been put. But if you go and find what was there originally to match with what is on that street, we should clap for our forefathers, please. We should really clap for them because I want to say something you will not like. So clap for them. Please clap for them. Because our forefathers are supposed to be illiterate. But the Portuguese came and said, we met an illiterate people with a very planned city, better than their city, Lisbon. It is written. Because this city had networks. It had drain. We didn't have doors then. They said we didn't steal. So there was no need to lock yourselves. So if we can, even as much as go back to that level of planning, I think we would have done a lot. So why is it that people that were illiterate were able to do things that we, with technology, with masters, PhD, MSc, PPP, NYZ, were not able to do any of this? It's a thing of worry. Is it not? It is a thing of, and then the fact of the matter is that it is each and every one of us responsibility. It's not government. So I just thought maybe to put a bit on the master plan, and then we can now do a panel so that we bring everything together. Is that okay? Are you still with me? Are you sure? Because I'm not feeling it. Are you with me? Okay. So if you are with me, clap for yourselves. Okay, clap for me. Clap for me then. Thank you. So, my slides. All right. A lot of people have been asking, master plan, what is this thing about? Why? We have this thing outside, but a lot of people will not pause and look at it. They will not. They'll just pass or take a picture just by it. They really don't know what it is. They said anything you don't want a black man to know, put it in a book. They will not read. So it is important that we keep talking. So we are going to put it so much in your face that you are going to have to stop and look at it. And if you are not able to look at it, you will not even tell us if we are doing wrong. Do you understand? The only way you can get governance is for you to make the demand. But for you to demand, you must know that it is your entitlement. So let me just show. We have a 30-year development plan, which is taking us to the Edo of our dreams. This was launched in 2021. It is a socio-economic development plan. But for us to get to where we want to, this Edo of our dreams, we must have to have a pathway to get there. And one of it is the physical master plans. Because like everybody has said today, nothing is done on air. You have to come down and do it. So we have the economic plan, which will take us to make Edo State a destination of choice for investment, a place to be able to live, work, and play and thrive as a human being. That is the economic plan. And then we have the physical. The physical has the Benin City Master Plan and the Edo State Regional Development Plan. But why would we pick Benin City out of it? Why? It is the only city we have as called a city in Edo State. That's one. But it also inhabits 50% of Edo State population. And it is growing. At the moment, it is 5 local governments. Oredo. I wanted to call my local government first, but I didn't want to get into trouble. You know, the governor is from Oredo. So Oredo, Ikpoboha, Ego, Ovia Northeast, and part of Nwode. That is Benin City today. 5 local governments out of the 7 local governments in Edo South. So it says a lot. Ogas talked about it being nearly 400 square kilometers at the moment. I do have a map that shows the way the city is growing. It's growing in a very disorganized way. So if we don't deal with Benin City, because this 7-8, Dr. Yawe talked about 2% of cities taking 75% of the resources. Okay? So that means that if we don't deal with Benin City, the region everybody will live there. We'll not have a region again. People will come here. Is it not true? Because all the infrastructure and resources are there. So we need to make sure that this city is planned and it continues to give the benefit of a city, while also using the comparative advantages in the regional area to develop them, to reduce the rural-urban migration. So in the regional area, we are looking at what are your comparative advantages in your regional area? What are the things that are peculiar to you? How can we use that to make that place to be self-sustaining? So that way, I can stay in Ekboma. I don't need to come to Benin, unless maybe I want to come and see what Moa is. Okay? I will be able to stay there. So, Edo Central, is it agric? What is it? Edo North, is it solid minerals? What are the things? How do we network it with rail and things so that the whole state continues to thrive? In developed countries, as you become more affluent, you move to the suburbs. You don't stay in the city. You now go to the countryside. You have a ranch. You have horses. You have all this kind of stuff. That is what shows that you are a bourgeois. But here, if you're a bourgeois, you stay in the city center. In short, you want GRA. In short, you want a particular street. So, ours is reverse of what the norm should actually be. Because as we start moving away from the city, we're able to regenerate, we're able to plan. So that's why we're doing the two. Two of them are 30-year plans, which we started in 2021. We'll finish this year, and this is part of the engagement. Because at this third phase, we're going to go to Edo Central, Edo North, and show them these plans. This is what we have looked at your area. This is what we are saying. Is it correct? Are you okay with it? Is it realistic? Will it take us to where we want to go? Will it take us to the Edo of our dreams? So we must do all that consultation, built environment, traditional council, market women, Okada riders, everybody will show it to them. And they'll say, this limestone you say is in Igara or so. No. It's no longer like this, it's like this. And then we realign. And that is the only time we can now give you the final document, which will be reflective of what our current reality is. So why is this one different from every other master plan we have done in the past? Why do we think it is different? We have done two before. This is the third one. Why is this one different? And why are we so confident that this one will take us to where we want to go? We are confident because we are having these conversations. We did not have them before. At least not in this scale. We are confident because we are telling our children it's going to their curriculum. So they're going to ask questions. You said rail was coming. Governor, why is there no rail? When is development going to come to my place? Because you said in my place, we bring pineapples and you're going to get a value chain and a process to get it from farm to market. Why has it not been done? They will ask questions, they will make demands, and then we will get governance. So we put it in your face so that you can demand. But another thing is, we are also not waiting to launch it to start the projects. We are doing them now. So within these master plans, we have quick wins. We have short-term, we have medium-term, and long-term goals. Recognizing the fact that 5 years in a lifetime is a very significant time. Things change. Okay? If you remember, before 2019, when Governor did the Arogba Road, it was very green. Am I correct? Am I right? Immediately the road came. What happened? What happened? Everybody. They started removing all the palm. They started. In short, I was so shocked one day that I saw somebody. Miracles do happen physically. The person built a suspended floor building in less than 3 weeks. I saw it. I thought I was the only one who could do that until I went to that area. Honestly. So, development will follow infrastructure. It's a natural process. So, as we open up places, things will follow it. So, we need to come back in 5 years' time and look at it. And so, okay, in line with the master plan, did we make provisions for these changes? Are they going organically in the structure that we planned it? Or is something going on? Something is going on. How do we adjust and realign? So that way, even though it's a 30-year plan, there are short-term checks to make sure that we are on course and to realign, to make sure that the master plan remains relevant. Please just continue showing me. So in the quick wins, we've started doing things. So that's because Africans, seeing is believing. Is it not so? If I tell you, stand here and wait for me, what will you say? Why? Is it not so? I said, because I want to give you money. You now say, when? I said, when I come back, you now ask again, when? We don't ever not ask questions. So, because of that, we have to give people evidence to believe that we really mean what we are saying. That what we are saying, we're going to walk the talk this time. So that is why we started these things. And so within these plans, we have other master plans, sector master plans, regional area master plans, district master plans. Okay? Bringing it down to the ward and to the unit level. So you have community plans, layouts to make sure that each community ties with the ward, ties with the district, ties with the local government. So everything works together. Not I'm doing my thing, you're doing your own. If you're doing your own, I'm doing my own. You have to find where I am. Because if I'm going like this and you're going like this, we are never ever going to meet. Is it not correct? But if we're going together, you know, and walking my side, we know that at some point there will converge. So that is why we are doing this, so that you can understand. And also within that we have the tourism master plan, education master plan, transport master plan, health master plan, technology master plan, agri master plan, infrastructure. It just goes on and on, especially in the key areas that affect human living. Are you still with me? Are you learning anything? No, say the truth, oh. If you are learning, clap for me too. Clap for me. Clap now. Because if you don't clap, I know you are sleeping. So I'm going to, every time I want to say, I'm going to leave it on this slide, surprisingly. I had the 13 slides, but I'm going to end it here. I think I can say everything in this slide. Now, on the tourism master plan, we have so many things. We have the museum of, hey, Your Excellency, ma. Please, I have to stop. Your Excellency, please, oh. It is not, I'm too blessed not to recognize you, ma. God bless you, ma. Thank you for coming. You know I love you. Chai. Ew. Bear with me, oh. This is how I am. I don't have structure to my colleague Sarah was telling me that can't I just stand one place and present like a, you know, like a sophisticated, like my governor. I don't know how to. I will learn. Okay, like I was saying, Your Excellency, the mommy of the state is here. Her Excellency, Betsy Ifweko Obaseki. Thank you. You will greet her now. You know, there's a way you will greet her. Oh, yeah, students, greet her, stand up, stand up. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. 2, 3, go, yeah. Mwah. Thank you very much. I'm so honored to have you, ma. God bless you. So if we just get this slide again, thank you. Now, so on the tourism master plan, we have the Museum of West African Art. Is there. That is where Central Hospital used to be. No kind of story I've not heard. Hey, governor has given it to his friends. Governor wants to put trailer park. Governor, governor, Nalayo. The elders can testify. Pa is here. The original palace was on that ground before 1897. That was the original palace grounds. It was after the palace was destroyed that the palace is now where it is. Epa, Eriono Abi, thank you, sir. You see, I only got to know these things as a commissioner. I don't know him before. So that is the original palace grounds. So if you want to have a museum of West Africa, this thing is funded by German and English government too. Ma, just tell you now. Now then they pay. So based on our history, they brought archaeologists. We need to remove the hospital so we can see the original part of the city. You'll be shocked though. When we went and dug, we saw pots, different implements we were using in the past. Can you imagine? What we used to go to Egypt to look at is in Benin here. It's here, live and direct. If you have not gone there, you miss everything. Now just sound they take over Amo. The Benin city, they there. So that's where we are starting. That was why they moved the Central Hospital to Stella Obasanjo. So we can really come to our old history. Do you know how much we will get if I just bring somebody like me and start showing Oyibo man? See, now yeah, we don't do port before I even know say port today. See, our lights, now gas will take the light our place. Look. They will take picture. They will pay money. And this money we use it to develop our place. Is it not what we want? Is there anything bad in that? I don't understand though. I don't understand. So that is why we are doing that. And it will be ready. The pavilion itself will be ready before we leave. It is at advanced stages. So that is a tourism attraction. I remember I used to live in the UK. And in the UK, the queen, now is the king, the queen, just the things around the queen contributes £2 billion to the UK economy every year. That includes memorabilia, a coat of arms, the Buckingham Palace, Sandrian Palace. People should be inside taking a tea. People will be walking past, paying money to look at where the queen used to go to toilets, where the queen used to talk to people, where the queen used to greet people. Her 2 dogs used to walk around. Everything they look and pay. Do you know that our Oba, our coronation is a process? If we add it to the Museum of West African Art, join the moat, start telling our story, they will be paying us, we'll be collecting. Everybody will be enjoying. It's what you have that you will use. Me, if I'm not doing the job, I'll be a comedian or something they are talking about. That's the truth. You use what you have. So that is in our tourism. Not to talk about the other things. So there are some rivers in this Edo. If you see them, you know that even Juju not reach there. They are clear to the sand, blue in this Edo. There are places that rivers converge. Some stones are in this Edo. It's only in Edo State. How many of you know these things? If you know it, raise up here. I know a lot of you don't know it. It's a lie. You don't know it. So we are going to collect money. You understand? So all of us, there will be businesses for people. People will make memorabilia. They will do small, all this our bronze head, different things. This bronze, you know it's only one family that does it. Are you aware? It's only one family. You either born into it or you don't do it. Are you aware? There is a training that goes into it. It is a skill that God gave to them from time. And it is only done in this Benin. We went to Taiwan with His Excellency and Madam. They were showing us things. I laugh. I said, now they learn. I can't see what they call bronze for my place. But you see them, they put a condition, cover them for glass, everything looking very nice. We just, oh, yes. But when we come here, we will not even go to a good street. Is it a lie? But if you go there, you not go to the museum. Just think about it. What you have here, Yafu, you are going to a museum. In Oyibo man country, to look at what they stole from us. So we are bringing it here. That is what we are doing. The next slide, the same slide, I beg, don't let me forget why I'm here. Okay. So the Edo Cultural District. So that district, like I told you, will be part of that. That's Moa, plus the moats, plus Igun Street, up to Ogiame Palace, all that area. So you'll be able to walk and see what is happening. And we tell our story. I used to tell people that Bini, with that story that I migrated from one place, so we came from heaven. Not only us get that history, no other person. So creation started in Edo, in Benin, whether you like it or not. That is it. Not I was following when people go and say they came from Congo. We didn't come from any Congo. Everybody came from us. Whether you like it or not. That is our history. And it should have some pride in it. That is what tourism will do for us. You remember, there's Benin Mall now. Abi? Before they say it cannot happen. How can Warri have mall? We will not have. How? Warri? Mall? Benin? No mall. No, na lie now. So that Holy Ghost fire. We don't break them. Mall is coming. Abi, you didn't see it in where the library used to be? Now you will carry your child, carry waterproof. You go there, you buy something, they give you bag. You take picture. You go home. Is that not what they used to do in Oyibo man country? We are bringing International Hotel, Radisson Blue. If you enter Gulf Road, you know where that Ritz Hotel used to, it was abandoned for a long time. We are turning it to a 7-star hotel. Yes. This one, you will see it. Oh, I'm not telling you tomorrow. If you go there now, you see the work is going on. There's nothing I'm going to tell you here that is not existing. And I'm telling you so that you can have confidence that if you can do this as quick win, other things are coming. There will be hope. Are you with me? The other one, education master. This one I don't even need to talk. Children, is this how you used to go to school before? When they carry on a symposium, now we say pigana na na, pom pom crayfish. But now you speak English. You are taught with tablets. They post your syllabus and your school notes. Am I not correct? Are you what? Edo Best 20.0. Everybody don't come talk about them. I don't need to talk. If a man sees something in us and say it's good, it is truly good. You can abuse it though. But if Rwanda, America, all of them don't come copy them, there's something happening in Edo. Please don't take it for granted. Edo Best 2.0. Is it 3 minutes remaining? Okay, thank you. Hey, please, I will talk quick now. Next. Now, okay, leave it. And then we are doing the education hub in Yarabi. You don't like the pictures there? I mean, if that is what the person controlling education. It was, they say winch like dirty place. But where it is clean, everything is bang bang, you go wrong. So, education, we don't drive the winch come out inside. It is life. Transport, did you not see it? Is it not in this Bini? Oh, I'm lying. Very soon, you're going to hear along. Now, lie, you go wait for bus stop. Asoyibo, motor come, you enter, you use cards, you pay. Oh, that is coming. That's not transport. If you look now, they have taken away the thought that monstrous, ugly advert at Third Junction by Sapler Road. Have you not seen that they removed it? They are going to do a fine junction with green. In short, I don't want to tell you. You'll be seeing it. Next one, show me. Then there are other parks like that, even with trailer park. You can see now that when the road is not good, everybody use it to block. No. You go and park in the trailer park. Any year that federal government decide to do their road, you pass. When we provide alternative, you pass. But you will not be on the road to kill people and cause accidents. That's part of it. In the transport master plan, Gele Gele is there. There's so many things. Health. I talked about removing Central Hospital, Stella Obasanjo. Inside there, they have what we want to do there. Any sickness where they catch you, you don't need to fly to any. You cannot even fly again. Dollar is where you want to go. You know if you buy tickets. So better for you to just stay here and let doctor. We even have telemedicine. Doctor go they tell you for phone, cut it here. It will be correct. Don't worry, you'll be okay. It's coming. We're already doing it. School of nursing. Abi, these things are not true. They are not stories, or they are happening right now. If you think it's a lie, I can take you on a tour. Put all of you in bus and go and show you what I'm saying. These are facts. Technology. Edo Tech Park, we have the phase 1 in Ohoromi there. Then we have the phase 2 in Benin Technical, that side. Massive 50 hectares development. Do you know that most of the people that are working in technology in Nigeria today are being trained in this Edo? Are you aware? They are training them, young boys. If you hear the amount they are earning, you'll be afraid. We have Edo Jobs has employed over 200,000 people in this scheme. We are training them like this. As we train them, work. There's an Edo boy that is one of these people. I don't know that is Google. One name like this we don't buy in software. It's from here in this Edo. I told somebody, I said, can you believe that all the glass, all the doors, all the ties that GP tanks, do you know they are manufactured in Edo? Are you aware? Go to Tessie, you see what I'm saying. You see, that's why trade and not green leave Bini. Everything is being done here. Okay. Now, agriculture master plan. It. What is all they talk? You know, go walk. So we are doing the Edo State Oil Palm Program. Because if we say they came to collect oil from NIFO. Are we to keep talking that story? Let us go back and put the oil in our ground. Now they grow past. So we are farming over, it's not up to it's not reach 1 million hectares, I've been 500,000. 65,000 hectares of palm. All the big names, Saro, call anybody where they do palm, the day here, Okomu, everybody did this Bini. Is that not job? Is that not opportunity? Somebody told me that, that Banga, that Okomu oil is one of the best oil they've eaten. Okomu is one of the biggest priced company in the stock exchange. Oh, it is here in this Edo. Are we not blessed? That one is going on. The other one, we're also doing the ADB on Airport Road to become an agric hub. So everything you want to do, one stop. It is happening right now. Infrastructure master plan. If you now go, you know where Edo GIS is. Fiscal plan is going to the front building. We have acquired the 2 lands. We're going to put roads and bridges there. And everybody, I know my time is up. Thank you. So, I would have showed you many things. I have some fine design, but no time. With these few words of mine, with these few words of mine, I want you to know that Edo is working. There is hope. If dollar like, let it get to 1,005. As long as you have a business to be doing, you will survive. And our governor has shown us, he's an economist, he has shown us the way to do this thing. Just believe, have hope, and do your part. You have your part to do. I have my part to do. I hope I'll be able to convince you that the master plan is the only way for us to progress. So, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you give it up for the Honorable Commissioner for Fiscal Planning, Housing, Urban and Regional Development? And while that beautiful one was on, the mother of Edo arrived. Can we now warmly make mommy welcome? Her Excellency, Betsy Obasaki. Can you make the noise? Iye. Thank you, Your Excellency. Please resume your seats. When a mother is passionate about something, it's obvious. We're getting close to the point where we are going to now interact and discuss. We're going to constitute the panel who will sit on this side, and then we'll ask them questions. And then you will also have the opportunity to interact. This plan that our beloved governor has brought out is for our interest. As soon as His Excellency did all the road from Iriri to Ogege, land rose from 150,000 to 8 million. That is when you now realize that your forefathers did a lot of good for you. But if those roads didn't go there, those land will still remain cassava, pineapple, and plantation. So there's going to be a segment for everything. I will now invite the Honorable Commissioner for Environment and Sustainability, Architect Joshua Omokodion, to please take a seat as one of our panelists. We'll also invite the Acting Managing Director, Flood Erosion Watershed Management Agency, Mrs. Osasu Okenini. We'll invite also the Chairman, Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, Mr. Uduma Melody, ASV. We also invite the Managing Director, Edo State Investment Promotion Office, Mr. Kelvin Uwaibi. And of course, it will be my, where's the Honorable Commissioner? Is he still reading? Is around? So we'll just leave his seat vacant. And the Petro James Osazero is my name. It will be my delight to moderate this section. Your Excellencies, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about our habitat. And where you stay is your habitat. Mr. Governor has de-emphasized a lot of the negativities that follows habitation. And now, oh, here comes our Honorable Commissioner for Environment and Sustainability, Architect Joshua Mokodia. Thank you very much. And so for this year, the theme is very, very apt. As a people, we understand that a lot of challenge goes with our environment. For example, The basic right of every human being is to have a space, to have your land, where you can stay, where you can dwell. What is the global perspective about having that? How do we also look at the critical state's investment in our shelter, the roads, the drainage? Where do we reserve for green? Where do we reserve for hospitals? Where do we reserve for security posts? Where do we reserve for markets? So that you don't just sell anything sellable. We have a pride that in this state, after every 4 or 5 houses, there's a street. After another 5, there's another street. So there's no hold up that's going to keep you. You can connect street to street. But what do we find until His Excellency came? Even your backyard is somebody's frontage. And you can't fence. Because if there's a hold up somewhere, before you know, Okada has passed the middle of your house. Face me, I face you. And before you come out from your room, they are in the back, they've gone. We cannot continue to lament. We must look for solutions. And so I'm going to ask the Honorable Commissioner Architect Joshua Mokodio to give us his personal perspective on the theme for this year's World Habitat Day. Can we please put our hands together for him?
Your Excellency, Mrs. Betty Oboseke, I like to please stand on the existing protocols. The theme for this year's World Habitat Day, especially as relates to Edo State, is very apt. Apt in the sense that in the history of the state, we are at a period where we have a leader who, to a large extent, is very passionate about the environment. And in pursuing his dreams of an environment that is a place you can thrive to live and do business now and beyond this period, so many things are at stake. Now, the environment, as it were, is an area where we as humans ought to have total control. Total control in the sense that you look at the resilience of a city like Benin City in terms of the environment. The question you first of all want to ask is, why is Benin City the way it is? And why are we not tapping onto what we originally had as a cultural value in the state? Now, you talk about waste management, you talk about green initiatives and the rest of them. All these are geared towards enhancing the well-being of the citizens. But what do you find? You find a situation where, as a group or as a people, we have, to a large extent, abdicated our responsibility. I give you a typical example. A case study is, you go to our rural communities. In the course of politicking, you are privileged to go around most of the wards. And you ask yourself, you see some things, and you say, at some point in time in the history of our state, for instance, we had our areas like this. And our people at the time, just like the Honorable Commissioner mentioned earlier, had a system that was to a large extent well planned in such a way that the well-being of the people was well enhanced. Then what has happened? Urbanization to a large extent has changed a lot of that. Up to now in our villages, you go there, you see that in virtually every home, you find a tree in front of their buildings. And they don't even have the kind of infrastructure we have in the cities. What has happened? I think the problem is fundamental. One, as a people, as a government, as regulators, for instance, we must go back to the fundamentals. Now, I hear stories of some countries where they talk about, they can even have a database of their, trees and all of that and all of that. And we have a regulatory system that allows us to kind of regulate what happens in the built environment. And what do we find? We find a situation where, upon giving that approvals, for instance, we don't bother to monitor those activities that have been carried out. Now, I give you a typical example. I'm glad that we are talking about the new urban schemes, the new development schemes that are taking place in various estates and neighborhoods. A time should come at this point in time in the history of our state and as a developing economy to such that have a policy where, upon building approvals, there must be a deliberate attempt, a deliberate policy that says, yes, where you are going to have a physical infrastructure, take it away. But the area you have designed to be in green areas, ensure that you preserve those places, such that when we come for monitoring and assessment of what we have done, we are able to see the natural habitat of what you have seen. A situation where, for instance, you have a plot of land, and somebody brought his approval and all of that, the man brings in everybody, takes everything down. What do you find? You have a bare ground, and you start thinking of how to replant and ensure that that same environment, what you had removed, you are not trying to bring it back. So my take is simple. In that area of green area, our ministry, in collaboration with the Ministry of Fiscal Planning, should be more proactive at this point, where we do thorough supervision on even developments across the entire state. We can no longer, at this point in time, allow the people to just do what they like, because their level of enlightenment and understanding of the challenges that they create of their activities is very low. Therefore, as a government, we must deliberately insist that we take through with what we give as opportunities for development. Such that, for instance, you're talking about the Coral City and all of that. I expect that on the larger scale, we should be able to determine how many trees we have in that kind of city. How much green areas do we have? How are we preserving it? How are we ensuring that our people are doing the right thing? Mr. Governor talks about no bare ground policy as part of the Green Initiative. The meaning of that is that we want to, as much as possible, limit the level of degradation of our environment and achieve green areas. The reason why that is very key to us is simple. One, it enhances our well-being. Because you talk about the oxygen we take into our system. The resilience of the human mind, the resilience of the human body is a accumulation of all of that creates the urban city. Therefore, green, as it were, must be promoted in the system in such a way that deliberately that system becomes part of our culture, just like our parents are still doing in their villages, so that we can, to a large extent, conserve energy. Because, for instance, we talk about challenges in terms of energy generation. If we have a system, a design that allows us to, in such a way that, lighting, ventilation, as it were, is taken strictly into consideration in terms of approvals, I tell you, the consumption of our energy will be much lower than we are seeing right now. Because that is a deliberate policy that we must have in the organizations of our designs, such that you insist that we must have proper lighting, natural lighting in all our areas, and have the right ventilations in all spaces, so that at the end of the day, the amount of energy consumption will be minimized. Then the other one is the waste management. In the past, you will look at it clearly that, I will go back to the rural areas again. We had a culture of never allowing any kind of waste around their streets. I hear stories about where, our people come out every Sunday to clean their streets, and they will have their mini dump sites very far away from their building. So that when you come into those streets, what you find is a very clean street. And it's still happening to today. What is happening in urban areas is that you find a lot of littering, because we have refused to take ownership of the environment. So, as a ministry in the Ministry of Environment, we are trying to have a deliberate policy where the issue of waste management will be very paramount to us, especially in the area of bagging. Because you can't continue to litter a system in such a way that, even when you have waste managers, for instance, to come and clean the environment, they can't begin to pick up the loose materials. We will, as a ministry, as a policy, now ensure that bagging becomes a principal policy in the state, such that we criminalize indiscriminate dumping of refuse on the streets. I give a typical example of what happens. Part of the economy you want to say is that an average corn seller on the street, they are part of the economy, they are part of the system. The woman that goes to buy corn in the farm, when she's going in there, what happens? She brings that in the bag. But by the time she gets to where she's doing her roasting and all of that, what you find is a situation where she's reaching all her environment. She no longer gets all that into her bags. And even when they do, what happens is that when it rains, for instance, they dump all of that into gutter so that it can't wash them away. So what you find today is a high level of siltation of all our drains. And that is why you are seeing the kind of flooding that the keynote speaker gave earlier. Such that our drains are no longer, they are no longer functional. That is because of our activities. So for us to a large extent, be able to have a resilient system to organize our city, particularly Benin City, we must have a deliberate policy to own the environment. And in owning the environment, we must appreciate the fact that until we take responsibility in making sure that our waste management is thoroughly looked into, our system of waste management is thoroughly looked into, not necessarily from the area of government, but from the areas of the citizens themselves, such that at the end of the day, it becomes easier for us to manage the entire system of waste management. Same I have said about the grain thing. We must deliberately, to a large extent, try our very best to ensure that the grain initiative is a matter we take as a major responsibility to ourselves, because if you want to enhance your health, you want to do well in terms of all of that, I can assure you, even in the area of erosion, the grain system is what we can, in fact, no government, even all over the world, can ever have the necessary funds to take care of the entire infrastructure. But Mr. Governor, in his wisdom, has done so much in the area of infrastructure. He set up FUMA. You talk about the stormwater project, you talk about the drains he's building, you talk about the roads he's rehabilitating and building, new one he's building. Yes, they are good. But how sustainable are those facilities? How sustainable are those infrastructure? The only way that can be sustainable is if we take ownership of all the facilities that we have. Because I tell people, if you give me a t-shirt, for instance, and I'm wearing it, and it begins to go wear, and it's dirty, for instance, it's my responsibility to make sure that it's clean. If it's torn, I take it to the tailor to mend for me. How come Mr. Governor now provides those facilities at the end of the day? Instead of us to maintain those facilities, what happens is that we are degrading those facilities. Therefore, we must, as a matter of policy and as a people, continue to look into ourselves and take ownership of our environment. Thank you very much.
He has so much to say, but for time. Now, I'm going to go to the Acting Managing Director, Flood Erosion Watershed Management Agency, Mrs. Sasu Okenini. You have a microphone with you. Now, looking at the situation we have now, those days we used to have small building, big land, big environment with trees, with grass, carpet grass, but everybody's flooring their compound, interlocking ties, with granite, with concrete. And now, as a result of that, what's going to be the way forward for planned cities? And what will be the penalty for those that are encroaching on the waterways? We have a natural drainage control in Edo. The moats, people fill it up and they build houses, they build companies. And so pollution, the roads won't last because the water doesn't lead anywhere. I'm sure you're going to throw lights on this and the subject theme for this year.
All right. Your Excellency, Ma, please permit me to stand on existing protocol. First, I want to say that our city, our Edo State as a whole, is blessed. I'm sure all of us will agree with that. If you look at our topography, you will see that we are naturally blessed, and nature has been able to design it in a way that we had free flow before now of water waves. But because of urbanization, everything seemed to be on hold with floods everywhere. So seeing that and knowing that that one is a major obstacle to this master plan, our agency is currently trying to formulate a policy. We are trying to set up a stormwater policy that will address all this issue. That one is currently on. And for us to also sustain the master plan that our commissioner talked about various master plan, we need stormwater master plan. Without the stormwater master plan, everything, infrastructure, all the buildings, everything that is being set up right now, none of them will stand the test of time. All of them stand the risk of time. So that is why at this very moment, we are presently working on setting up, bringing up a policy that will help to regulate every activity as it affects buildings and infrastructure across the states. Then also, we are currently collaborating with Ministry of Roads and Bridges for every road that will be constructed in the states. Is not business as usual, that people will just construct roads the way institutions will just construct roads the way they like. But before they carry out this, we have been having stakeholders meeting with Roads and Bridges so that we'll be able to work out plans to ensure that roads are not just built without a stormwater plan for that catchment. And on that, we've been able to draw out designs, about 20 designs in collaboration with Roads and Bridges for some of our communities' catchments. And with that one in place, we'll see that this master plan will become sustainable for now. That is where we are at the moment. And also, we are currently, with the support of the governor, we are currently working on the No Bear Grant Initiative that our commissioner earlier mentioned. And also in this No Bear Grant Initiative, we are ensuring that trees are planted across the states and grassing, as this one will help us to reduce degradation of roads and areas across the state. So where we are right now as FUMA, we are currently trying to bring up a policy, and that policy will go a long way to sustain our infrastructural developments and every other public buildings and all that will be carried out in the state. Thank you.
Can we applaud her? Thank you very much. The microphone will now go to Mr. Kelvin Owaibe. He's the Edo State Investment Promotion Office Managing Director. Now, looking at the theme for this year's World Habitat Day, resilient urban economics, cities as drivers of growth and recovery, what and how will the investors come? And speak also to the topic.
Okay, Your Excellency, all protocols duly observed. Maybe I would want to, at this point, make a clarification. We hear of the 30-year plan. The 30-year plan is not for this administration. From day one, we had a playbook. And the playbook took into consideration urban economy, the resilience of the urban economy. How? There are indices and indicators that you use in terms of creating a resilient urban economy, using cities as drivers of growth and recovery. Today's theme came as a result of, if we all remember vividly, the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of cities did not recover from that pandemic as we speak. Edo was one of the only cities, I would say, that ensured that the economy was put into play. I remember vividly, over several hours, discussing whether we needed to shut down the cities or leave it partially open. Because for you to have a resilient city, there are indices, there are indicators. So for Edo State, from 2016, we had a playbook. And it's the playbook that you are seeing. The 30-year plan is for sustainability. One of the things in this is economic diversification. So as we came in, we started looking at the economy. I know most of us will recall that Edo State used to be called the civil service town and student town. Today it's changing because we have over 20 investors that have come into Edo in different areas: manufacturing, agriculture, just name it, transportation, coming to invest in the state. If you want to have a resilient urban economy, you need to look at economic diversification. One other very important in this is education. And from day one, we had our educational plan through the Edo Best program. And you see today that a lot of other cities or sister neighboring states and even countries are coming to Edo State to look at the model of the Edo Best program. Because you need an educated citizen for you to be able to have a resilient urban economy. Another vital indices is driving small businesses and entrepreneurship. And that's what we have done also. We have been working with the what we call the micro, small, and medium enterprises, ensuring, even providing fund. Thanks to Her Excellency, we provided 2 billion naira for MSMEs. She drove that process. Let's not forget about even the women. So I just think that Edo, we have been very lucky because we have been very intentional with everything you see. Nothing you see happening was a fluke. It has all been planned. So I can say from 2016, we started looking at a resilient urban economy. And that is why most of the shocks in terms of crisis, we have been able to weather it because it takes thorough planning. Another vital indices is connectivity. And if you notice today, Edo is one of the states in the country that is highly connected in terms of broadband. Because you cannot move, my commissioner just now was talking about telemedicine. How do you do telemedicine without broadband? It's not going to be possible because you need connectivity, you need broadband, you need internet. And that is what we are doing right now with partners. We, first and foremost, initially a few years ago, we partnered with Facebook and we were able to come up with 400 kilometers of broadband around Benin City. Right now, that broadband is moving to the 18 local government areas. And each local government, health-wise, school-wise, is going to be connected with internet and broadband. What this does is that it leapfrogs what they call the economy. It brings about growth. And that is exactly what we are doing. Another very vital thing in this is when you are looking at urban development is innovation. And I don't need to tell us that for the young ones, we have our innovation hubs. Then social safety nets, very important. You have to be able to protect the vulnerables in any, because as they say, all fingers are not equal. We are doing just that also in Edo State. And that has also made a lot of influx of people coming to Edo State now. You cannot have a resilient urban economy without law and order. And if we remember vividly, on January the 1st, 2017, this administration announced the prohibition of land grabbing. Because you cannot have a robust economy when people cannot even want to stay here. And I can tell you that before now, I know people that even when they had lands in Edo, they wanted to sell it and travel and leave the land. Investors, our diaspora, didn't want to come back. They were already angry. There were those that were selling money down. Houses were not being built. And all of that has changed. You need to drive around. We don't have, I want to say here very clearly that we may not have answers to all the solutions, but we have created the foundation. And with the 30-year plan, I can tell you, if we follow it vividly, we follow it passionately, in the next 5 years, you will not know Edo again. What we want is sustainability. And how does that also happen? Let me just say that. Who are the beneficiaries of all of this happening? The residents. The residents are the beneficiaries of all of this. And there are benefits when we follow through. One of it, job creation, economic stability. My colleague was saying just now and said, even though the dollar is 1,500, we should not worry. She's very correct. If you're not buying anything from Netherlands or from the UK, what concerns you concerns dollar? Instead, we should be thinking about local manufacturing, and that's exactly what we are doing. And skills development, skills enhancement. You see what we are doing with our TVET. That's the way to go. I am so convinced that we in Edo State have the capacity to grow our economy and live here and live well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we give it a round of applause? That's amazing. It's important to remember where we are coming from. That before the Obaseki-led administration and collaboration with our traditional leaders and father, particularly the Oba of Benin, you remember how notorious it was with the defunct CDAs, the exploitations, and this is now directed to the chairman, Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. People observe that in all of these areas where there are no plan, there's no provision for streets, there's no provision for hospital, there's no provision for security, there's no provision for markets. They just keep selling the land, they just keep building. But all of that has changed now. And so how do we recover those areas who already have fallen into this planless situation? And going forward, how do you key into this new city, into this new plan that we are having? Mr. Oduma Melody, ESV.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I want to appeal that you permit me to stand on the existing protocol. I will be speaking to this audience as well as this audience, the students. I watched with keen attention the discussion of my colleagues on this table. They were speaking at a level far higher than the level of the students. So I want to start from there as a retired teacher. Now, the theme is resilience, urban economy. Before every other thing that follows, I want us to address them one after the other before I handle that. When you say resilience, let me pick that word resilience. It simply shows that ability to withstand. And then, if it has occurred, ability to recover so easily. That's what it stands for. And then, my colleagues have been talking about COVID-19 pandemic. We don't need to go that far. Nigeria experienced a huge shock when President Tinubu came on board on the 29th of May, when he announced the removal of fuel subsidy. There's no greater shock than that. And we can all attest to what we are all going through. Beyond the removal of fuel subsidy, he changed the monetary policy, allowing the naira to float along with the dollars. So from 3-something that he met it, we are talking about 1,000 plus. And majority of what we use here will import. And this is where we are. So there's no greater shock than that. So what is the implication of that shock on the people? How is the urban economy responding to that shock, to the shock created by that action? So that's what we should be looking at. Now, I'm sure majority of these ones seated here, especially for those in private schools, their parents have not been able to pay their school fees. And then if they are moving from a far distance to their school, they enter transportation, they take transportation to where they school. The implication is that what they were paying before is no longer what they are paying now to move from their houses to their school. The money has to come from their parents. And then the salary, especially if the person is a civil servant, is still the way it is. That's a very big shock. So how is the urban economy responding to this? I am not trying to fan the ego of the state government. I think what they are doing is reasonable in trying to respond to what this policy is throwing up on us. For instance, I talked about transportation. There is a deliberate attempt by the government to create an avenue for transportation to be seamless. I think that's a way of responding to what is going on. And then let us now come back to indiscriminate development that you asked me. People are just developing anyhow. Let me quickly say this, and I think this should be a take-home from this very meeting today. I'm happy that something has been done by government in the area of land grabbing. But let us look at when we're talking about development, none of us is living in the air. None of us is living in the water, inside water. We are all living on land. So which means the basic component that drives development is the land. So the questioner is land policy. Now, if we trace back, before the advent of the Land Use Act of 1978, land ownership was either in the hands of individuals, family, or communities. Land use decree came and vacate land from this individual, family, and communal ownership, and then place it in the governor of the state to hold in trust for the use of the people. To what extent are governors exploiting that power that they have in the use and administration of land? That's the beginning. Because I can't be doing something on what I don't have power over. But you find that the communities still have power over land administration in Edo State. I give you a case in point. We have the ministry that our Amazon is controlling. But go and find that in majority of these communities. They are the ones that create roads. There's a community where I have a farm. I have a palm farm, which is part of what we are talking about now, trying to make the place green. I bought from the community sometimes back in 2017. Shortly after I bought, as I was planting, the various owners of those portions that the community sold came to say that they are their individual land. I had to buy a second time. So they gave me some breathing space. I planted. And 4 years down the line, the community has gone back. They have started creating roads within my farm. That what I bought was farmland. So it's time for them to sell. And I have not even harvested anything from that land. And I now threatened, okay, let me go to the committee set up by Edo State government on protection of private properties. And they said, if I like, I go. By the time this administration leave office, I will see the other side of the community. You can imagine that kind of thing. You can imagine the dilemma that I am. When I retired, I put in all my what I earned into that place. And now they want to take it forcefully. So this is where we are. So government has to really step up beyond what they are doing now. They are doing well, but they have to step up beyond what they are doing now. And take full control and management of land. Creating roads and then parcellating plots shouldn't be the responsibility of communities because they don't know anything about it. Government should go beyond what they are doing now and do something more. So I think to that extent, government will be able to regulate development and put a check to what is going on now. Thank you.
Can we give them rounds of applause? Thank you. Now, our closing statement. We'll give each of you 1 minute to recap and give your closing remarks. First, Architect Joshua Omokodio.
It's simple. The key thing here is ownership. As citizens of Edo State, a time has come for us to take ownership of our system. It's no longer business as usual. A situation where it's assumed that the government owns everything should no longer be the case. We should take control, we should own our land, and take responsibility in making sure that we have a good and beautiful Edo State. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll hand over now to Mrs. Osasu Okenini. MD Edo Flood Erosion Watershed Management Agency.
I want to encourage us as a people for us to sustain this master plan that we are talking about. We should be very conscious of stormwater and the need for every one of us, especially the MDAs in charge of infrastructures and urban development. There's need for us to collaborate. Without collaboration, whatever we are going to do, without collaboration, especially with FUMA, whatever we are going to do may face disaster, the risk of wasting multi-billion naira investments, because without stormwater management plan in the states, everything will be eroded with time. That's what we are currently seeing. And not when we are growing up, we'll see before when rain falls, before you know everything flows. But right now, with the urbanization, continuous influx of people into the city, we see that we have infrastructure blocking waterways. So the best way, and I will encourage every one of us, even communities, to collaborate with Edo FUMA. We will help you when it comes to catchment in our nation. We are there. We currently encourage communities to come to us. We have currently, sorry, I'm taking a bit of our time. We currently have a scheme. We call it the Compass. It's where community come together to participate in palliative intervention scheme. We invite communities to come. When you have a flood problem in your area, please report it to Edo FUMA, where we can bring in quick intervention before the problem escalates and become a very wide one. So again, I encourage every one of us. This state is for us, and we are able to make the master plan work out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kevin Waibi, Esipo.
Okay, just to reassure my brother here, there is the land administration policy that is coming up very soon, and we're going to be having community layout very soon. I will close by saying that we all in this room, we need to protect the future of our young ones there. We need to, as a matter of urgency. So my closing and parting words will be, what this government is doing, the citizens, we need to make sure that it's sustainable. So I will close by this: sustainability, sustainability, sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now invite Mr. Oduma Melody for his closing
I am
remarks.
happy to hear that government is already doing something about land management. I think in doing that, you should collaborate with those in the built environment so that they give you what is really on ground and what is happening now. And I want to use this opportunity to cry out to the government with the commissioner here that what I have suffered to invest in, community is taking it from me. So I think something has to be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll invite the panelists to take pictures with Her Excellency, our mother, Honorable Commissioner Chief Dr. Douglas Efosa, also to also please join. And three children from the schools to please join us in this picture. Any boy? Okay, one more. At the edge, stay at the edge, in between, in between. Let's have a seat. interaction will continue now. Those in the built ecosystem and those of us that are citizens of Edo, the civil society, they are here. Left Samabode, thank you. We appreciate your presence. And of course, our children. It is now time for questions and answer before the closing formalities. The microphone will go to you. Please, Lefty Samabode, let's start with you. What's your assessment? And what's your stake on this? Say something. Or any other person who has anything to say. Let's. Civil society, there's no way you won't say anything. See them seated there in your front. What's your comment? Have you spoken before? You have been talking. We want to. Okay, that's fine. Any other person? Let's have your comments. We welcome in a special way Mrs. Agbonlaho Doge. Thank you very much. She's in charge of the transport agencies in Edo. And thank you for the relief for our people. God bless you and bless Mr. Governor. So, just indicate with your hand and the microphone will come to you. We have a man at the back there. So children, get ready with your questions.
I'm Savio Isaac Ovosas from the Nigerian Institution of Saviors. All protocols duly observed. I want to thank the organizers of this program. It was a good one indeed. But my question is, I really appreciate this 30-year plan of the governor. I studied Botswana, and I discovered that one of the things that brought development was their 30 to 50 years plan. But how do we sustain it? In this society where we are, where once an administration is leaving, even when it is the same party, I'm not talking of a different party now, the same party, the next administration that comes, they want to do their own thing. How, if this administration leaves, are the incoming administration willing to continue with this? Because that is the only thing that will bring development. It's a good plan if we can follow it. And I want to ask, what are the plans to sustain it after this administration? Because it's not enough to say, I've done it, or you take. If they like, they follow it. They like. What are the plans? And a suggestion also is that we have institutions. We have the built environment. These institutions, all the environmental institutions, institutions of your institution of estate management, institution of architects, and all of them, and traditional institutions, religious institutions, all institutions. If the government can bring this 30-year plan to all these institutions to go through and sign a memorandum of agreement for this 30-year plan. Because if, for example, the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, they have signed a memorandum with the governor for a 30-year plan, whether a child that is growing up, that is just registering as a surveyor tomorrow comes, there is already a signature of that institution there. And so they are to follow. It's not about party. It's not about anything. It's about the development of the state. I think we'll look at that. Then for the community, I want to ask a question also. Thank God my guy here just talked about the community development. That is why we're looking at our plan. I think the government should be fast about it. Because as we're saying, development is fast growing. These communities, they are doing land administration, which the government is supposed to be doing. And it is causing more harm if the government does not act fast. Thank you.
So we'll invite the Honorable Commissioner amongst us now, who is the closest to government, to respond to this.
Thank you very much. I think the key word here is sustainability. I think to a large extent, Mr. Governor had answered that situation earlier in his speech. You see, when something becomes a culture, it's not subjected to political shenanigans. That is the major reason why Mr. Governor had mentioned earlier that the first thing he wants to do with all of these plans is to ensure that he inculcates it first into the students' curriculum, that is the educational curriculum, so that it becomes a consciousness on the part of our younger ones. For instance, if this master plan system becomes part of their social studies, it therefore means that as they are growing, whoever is at the political head, it really doesn't matter. It means that it becomes part of them, such that they will be the ones asking the questions, such that the politician will be the one that will be answerable to them as to what they have done to the master plan. That is one. The second one is legislation. You know, when you have a system that is governed by laws and is legalized in such a way that these master plans becomes part of our legislation as a state, it therefore means that even as a private citizen tomorrow, if there is negation of what has been done here, you as a private citizen can pick up the government and say, look, Mr. Governor or Mr. Government, why are you deviating from the original master plan of what is existing today? That is two. Then the third one is succession, and that is largely political. Succession in the sense that what we have done, we are saying that it's time for the people to understand all of it. That is what I bring it to the fore right now, such that it becomes a topical issue, even in the course of campaigning and all of that. Like you have just raised this here now. There's need for somebody like you to say to when somebody comes and says he wants to vote for him, ask him, there is an existing master plan between 30 to 50 years master plan. What is your take on it? So there are such persons who are not qualified in the real sense of governance cannot originally begin to come to say that they want to run the system. That is why, as of today, we as a state are insisting we should harvest the best of our brains to ensure that what Mr. Governor has done for this state today, which is a legacy that can never be compromised, we must ensure that the right person succeeds him. Because if you believe in what he has done, the natural thing is for you to defend what he has done. Therefore, that advocacy of saying that, Mr. Governor, you've done all of this, as a government, we will do our part. But the citizens themselves should insist and ensure that they protect what Mr. Governor has done. And that's what you are seeing across board, whether in economy, education, the industrialization, infrastructure, and all of that. There's need for us as citizens to continue to say, look, this is now our state. And that is why I'm talking about ownership. If you take control of the system as citizens of a state, no politician can come and move you around. Because the key word is politics. Some persons just want to think that they want to do their thing so that we know for what they have done. Because that is for their own self. They don't think of the common good of the people. They don't think of the commonwealth of the people. If you think of the commonwealth, we should be thinking how to build on sustainable projects that have been done. Therefore, in the next 1 year, a lot of politics will be taking place. There's need for us to start asking these questions. It's like the e-gov thing that Mr. Governor has entrenched into the system. I tell you today, if a man says he wants to be your governor today and says you don't understand the meaning of technology or how he wants to build on whether he's in the governor's party or another political party, if he cannot tell you how he wants to improve or build on what Mr. Governor has done in the area of e-governance, don't vote for such person. Because they're going to bring you back. Because the world right now is moving very fast towards technology. So on so many fronts, as citizens, we have so much to do in this area. It's not only in this master plan. There are so many initiatives right now that are in government. So what is key, like I mentioned, cultural orientation, legislation, and ownership. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much. The microphone is still available for more questions and interactions.
Good afternoon. My name is Roger Sisiohere. I'm an estate surveyor and valuer, Vice Chairman, Edo State Branch. I want to speak on the issue of, look at the aspect of the environment. Some time ago in Benin City, we used to see people, the ministry carrying out inspection in respect to the gutters. But when you go around today in Benin, the gutters are all filled up with different kind of materials coming from the individual dwellers. What I'm asking, sir, is that ministry no more in charge of maintenance? I know you were not doing it, but you do come to give notices to the tenants and landlords. My office apply more. You do come in those days to give people notices. You see people complying. Now they are not complying because they are not seeing anybody. That is one part of it. two, in terms of the new map, what plan do you have? Because today, once it is raining, people have the habit of pouring their refuse inside the flood. Because once these things enter the flood, it goes back to the drainage. Tomorrow, they will also tell you that government is not doing it best. I'm trying to say this because the advocacy part of it is very, very at its lowest ebb. That is the truth. If you listen to radio today, we should be hearing the ministry telling us, telling people, doing advocacy, that they should do their best. They should not pour refuse inside flood. They should make sure that the environment is clean. I don't know the last time we see environmental people going around in our areas. I'm from Ward 11, I can tell you the truth. And most of our streets there are tarred. But the gutters, these people, even when you go and complain, I have an incident, go and complain, they will tell you to come up, put up a petition, come and do this and do that. And this is a disencouragement to people. That's thank you.
And so I think that's a two-fold question. The Honorable Commissioner for Environment will respond, but first, the Acting Managing Director of Edo State Flood Watershed Management.
Thank you, sir. Part of what we are doing, like I earlier said, is coming up with stormwater policy. The stormwater policy will help to regulate the activities of people when it comes to drains and indiscriminate dumping of refuse in waterways. So that is the major thing we are currently working on. When we have this in place, we'll be able to effectively regulate both individuals and public organizations on this blocking of waterways in the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The gentleman that just asked that question, very apt. You are very correct. In clear terms, your identification, a current WIC system is true. Now, what we are doing, right on my table at this moment, we realize the challenges all that are inherent in all of this management. And currently, we are trying to reject the architecture of waste management in the city, because we realize that, same thing has been done in the past 6-7 years, and we have not been able to achieve the desired results. So what we're about to do, like I mentioned earlier in my earlier presentation, I mentioned something in clear terms that there is nowhere in the world where you find people throwing things loosely that, you're able to achieve a clean environment. Even in homes, you find people, they generate waste from their homes. Instead of trying to restrict that material or those materials coming from their homes, what they do, just find anyone, dump them there. And it becomes extremely difficult. There's no amount of management you can put in place that can manage loose materials. Because, just like has been said earlier, the level of urbanization and the level of population, growth within Benin City, for instance, is at a very high rate. Therefore, the facilities to check some of this, or the infrastructure to check all of this, are being overstretched right now. So what we are saying is that we are coming out with a deliberate policy that will criminalize dumping of loose waste on the street by insisting, whether from your home, from the markets, or from wherever you do your business, if you do not bag your waste, it becomes a criminal offense. It becomes a criminal offense. I will prosecute you. Yes, manpower is an issue in terms of how you're able to have all these, how you're going to police the entire city and all of that. As of today, we are collaborating with the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, the local government councils, the Waste Management Board, and the ministry, as it were, the Ministry of Environment, where I'm the commissioner. We are trying to come together and form a team in such a way that we are able to collaborate with one another and police the city sufficiently. Because like Riley mentioned, what we are seeing, the level of degradation, the level of waste challenges we are facing in the city is actually alarming. And we can't continue like this. We are trying to design a sustainable system that will allow us to say, where the next 3 to 6 months, we're able to see a desired change in the entire system. Give us a chance, I assure you, in the next 6 months, it will be a different ball game. Thank you very much.
My friend asked the question. Thank you very much. Personally, I'm not going to look at it from the side of government. I'll look at it from the perspective of communities. We are from communities who belong to one religious organization or another. We equally belong to ethnic groups. We said that cleanliness is next to godliness. And one of the things I did for my PhD was to see from the side of communities, not government. There's no way government can do everything. If we say cleanliness is next to godliness, why not on our own try in our religious and traditional way take waste to the extent of ritual? If you want the place where you stay not to be dirty, then you should not expect to bring another person's place to be dirty, or to bring it to a state we normally call where we have what I call there is a word we normally use if we take a place and say, okay, we allow this place, and we say that we revere it. You revere that place. So to a large extent, that place you revere, you don't want anything that is counterfeit to contaminate. If you take it to that level and bring it to the consciousness of people, that means these persons have experienced this kind of thing. We wouldn't want it to continue. Then if it has to continue, there is a traditional way and cultural way to deal with such things. Much earlier in the course of that lecture, I told us about something of those white and red cloth something. Yes, I'm very serious about it. The white and red cloth matter. That the community, through the elders, they have said that this thing is not good for our environment. And because it's not good for our environment, whoever runs counter of that same thing, this is what will happen. And I bet you our people will respect it very well and keep to it religiously. They are not in any way going to run counter to it. Have you not seen too, if there's mango tree and they said the children are throwing stones, children, pardon me, to bring mango down and it's ripe, and they go and tie red cloth, what happens? They will take to their heels. They will leave the mango tree, and the mango tree will bear fruit and start falling down. Now, that is the way we are. We should not pretend. No, I'm serious about this. We should not pretend. We are Africans. And we wouldn't want what I will call our forefathers or the deity or whatever, which we hold in high esteem, to now run after us or to bring us what I will call bring our fortune down, or try to kill or make them useless. No, impossible. So Ministry of Environment and all that, please bring this to your table and go to the communities. Go to the communities. They will assist you a great deal. Walk through them. If you are not doing this, you have not started. And you will continue in this circle. And you continually vote money over and over. And that money, you are not going to get the benefit of that money. But go through the communities. And if you go through these communities, you are going to get the result. And resounding one at that. And I bet you, it is going to be resounding. And if you talk about waste too, I don't know why it should be the concern of state government. Constitutionally, it's local. I don't know why. And I will say the state is biting more than it can chew. It has taken over the responsibility of local councils. This is what we find, and it's not helping matters. It's not. If I tell you local government, they will know the chief, they will know the traditional head, they will know the religious head in these areas more than yourself, because they are closer to the people that commit or desecrate these areas than yourself.
Please, let me just quickly. Okay. I think I'm finished.
The Honorable Commissioner will respond before we leave, but the chairman will add a voice.
Well, let me quickly correct this. I am the immediate past chairman of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, so that we won't get it wrong. On the issue raised by the vice chairman of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, I want us to look at it critically. Who are we as a people? What kind of value do we have? Have you not seen that on the road, somebody will just back the road, face a vehicle, and start urinating on a major road? That is the value. You see somebody will eat, what's it called, banana inside a vehicle and just throw it out on the road without even knowing the implication. That is the value we have created. Now, do we have to copy how they police these things in civilized countries? Because they have a different value that what they are doing is wrong. That is not the value we have. So we have to domesticate how we attend to those issues. We have to domesticate it. If you don't use very strong fist to address it, we'll just be wasting our time. Now, my suggestion is this. I want the authorities to look at it. Every street, let government provide a general point where people dump their refuse. Not a case where people buy their own drums and begin to dump their refuse. Have a central point. And then outsource the collection of refuse, a kind of monthly fee. As far as you have a house in that street, whether you put in your refuse there or not, this is the amount you pay. Outsource it to people who will be able to enforce it. So everybody is, since I am paying 2,000 every month, if I gather my refuse, it's compulsory that I have to go to that point and drop my own. So a situation where you keep your own at home, and then the refuse people are not even living up to responsibilities. At times, 3 months, they don't even come. So what people just do is to gather it and look for a place to dump. So once you have a central point, it makes it compulsory that whether you put in refuse there or not, you must pay. And then you see now that people start going there to dump their refuse. So a situation where somebody will carry his refuse and look for another person's own to go and dump it will not arise. So even if you don't dump it in the one designated for you, you are still going to pay. So people will respond to it.
Thank you very much. And so we'll ask the Honorable Commissioner for Environment in a sentence or two to just react to Dr. Yahweh.
Yes, thank you very much. You see, for starters, community engagement to a large extent is very key. That we had started, community engagement we know is key to waste management within the city. And I can tell you in clear terms that the inner city now, around Ring Road and all of that, we have started all of that. I'm hoping that we're going to expand all of that to the entire city. That is one. Then the second one is on the issue of local government and state. Yes, you are correct. We actually had a session with the House of Assembly sometime last week. And the issue of waste management came up. And the major thing, as a ministry, we tried to emphasize was that, look, waste management to a large extent ought to be localized. It should be within the purview of the local government. But the House of Assembly, in their wisdom, said, yes, constitutionally, that's correct. That is one. Then two, that when it now becomes a public safety situation, which is exactly what is happening at this point, the state government must intervene. And that is why we are intervening. And we can no longer allow just the local governments to continue to do what they are doing and expect that we'll get the right result. That's why I mentioned earlier that we are trying to have that synergy of that cooperation between local governments, Waste Management Board, the Ministry of Local Government and our own ministry. The reason being that we have now realized that the issue of waste management in Benin City particularly has gone beyond just one level of government. We must do everything possible to ensure that we engage all and sundry to achieve those results. And that's why I said I gave myself a timeline, say between 3 to 6 months, by the grace of God. We are hoping to have a significant change because all these policies we are trying to put together right now to achieve all of that. And that is just the enlightenment I want to give. Yes, constitutionally, you are correct. But again, the House of Assembly now said, look, we should realize that by the Constitution, they are the ones that regulate or provide laws or guides for the local governments to operate. That if they now feel that it is the state that should intervene, they naturally can promulgate another policy, which will come from them. And that's what the Constitution says. So, but to a large extent, like I already mentioned, the environmental ecosystem is such that it's not a one-off, it's not a one system achievement that can be done right now by anybody. There has to be total collaboration. Thank you very much.
Can we please applaud them? Thank you very much. You can go back to your seat. Thank you. Mr. Oduma Melody, the former chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Estate Survey and Valuers. Thank you. Our Honorable Commissioner for Environment and Sustainability, Architect Joshua Omokodion. Thank you. Mrs. Osasu Okeneni, thank you very much. And of course, we appreciate Mr. Kelvin Waibi. Thank you so much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we gradually come to the close of this event. I'll invite for the closing remarks the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development, Engineer Osikena Ojo, for the closing remarks and vote of thanks.
More like a vote of thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. Permit me to stand on existing protocols. Honorable Commissioner, I want to use this opportunity to thank all of you who have stayed all this while with us. I must say special thanks to our school children and their minders. We appreciate you. Our colleagues who are in the built-up environment, I thank you. Without you, this event would not have gone the way it did. For those other commissioners who are here present, I want to say a very big thank you. It's not easy with your busy schedule to be able to give up so much time. I think we've spent well over 4 hours here. So I must really appreciate your presence here. The commissioners, the heads of MDAs and other agencies who are here present. I must not also leave out members of the public who have found their way here. But most especially, I also want to thank all the members and the team members of the Ministry of Physical Planning, Housing, Urban and Regional Development. You guys are a great bunch. And as you all have seen, together we do it better. So I wish you Godspeed for those who have come from afar. And I hope that when we invite you for other activities that we're going to take on as part of this Urban October, you will graciously make your presence felt. Thank you very much and have a good day.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end. We're going to have group photographs with different ecosystem within the built environment after the closing formalities.
Then I want to talk to the program continues with the children. Okay, thank you so much. My PS has done it all, but I want to say that Urban October is an ongoing program. So throughout this month, we're going to have different events, a lot of stakeholders engagement, but more so for the children. So we're going to send you information on essay writing, competition, on arts, competition, on debate. So we'll build it up. So we'll start from the, how they do football now, from the primaries. And then on the 27th, we'll come back here and then we'll do a grand finale and give the winners their awards, and then we'll do the debates here. We choose our winners, and so there's a lot of fun. So at the end of the day, so that the children will remember what has. Have you guys had fun today? It's been a long day, but did you enjoy it? Did you learn something new? God bless you. Thank you very much. And teachers, God bless you. Happy World Teachers Day. I know you're supposed to be celebrating today, but thank you for coming to celebrate with us. We do appreciate you. Thank you, everybody. God bless you.
And so we take the Edo anthem for our closing formalities, and after which we'll have group photographs. The Patriot, James Osaze Urere is my name. DJ.
The ancient city is calling. Oh, arise, sons and daughters of the land. The king of the city is marching. Stand up high to the pride of the land. The founding fathers of labor, and our time to serve is now. The glory of the new Edo nation will forever be our pride. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be. Our treasures are found in all nations, and our greatness is second to none. Our history forever shall be written, how our kings have endured all times. Our people cultured in unity, our hearts beat for the land. Rich culture, stories of heroes, legacies forever be. Beautiful Edo, glorious.
Thank you very much. Can we put our hands together?